Salute, my Quickclassics friends. Welcome to another episode of Quickclassics on this Wednesday, September the 15th, 2021. As always, if you like the content and digging into the ancient world, specifically the classical world, please click a like, subscribe, and share so we can continue to grow the channel. Okay, so I was sitting on my back porch drinking coffee and thinking about the American Lyceum movement back in the 1800s and early 1900s. Um, so I thought it would be kind of interesting to look at the classical roots of the Lyceum, which is where it finds its origins. But as a precursor to the discussion today, it might interest you to know that if you don't already, that the Lyceum movement in America was a kind of continuing education, adult education. It largely consisted of lecture circuits where there were public lectures or discussions or theatrical productions or exhibits that were open to the public, and so you'd often have authors like Frederick Douglass or Ralph Waldo Emerson. The Transcendentalists were really big on the lecture circuit. Mark Twain um, was another personality that used the Lyceum. But today we're going to look at the classical roots of the Lyceum. And the Lyceum was actually Aristotle's school in Athens. And Aristotle, of course, being one of the great Socratic philosophers, his teacher, Plato, also had a school in Athens called the Academy. Um, so at some point, Aristotle diverges from Plato's approach to reality. Platonic philosophy rests heavily upon forms and ideals, really, and Aristotle became more interested in causality and what not what was not only the catalyst for something or phenomena of all kind, but what were the repercussions of that. So, the Lyceum is formed. His school is formed in the mid fourth century BC. Now, for a time, he goes off and teaches in Asia, in Turkey. Um, One of his many students was Alexander the Great, probably his most famous student. But when he comes back to Athens, he founds his Lyceum school at the Lyceum. Now, the Lyceum was actually a kind of temple campus space. It was not only a temple to Apollo Lyceum, Apollo the wolf, as the name suggests, but it was also a place where there were all kinds of public gatherings and meetings, and I believe there was a gymnasium there as well. But this is where Aristotle founds his peripatetic school. So called because in Greek this means peripateo means to walk about. I walk about, and it got this appellation because when Aristotle would lecture, he would often walk around the grounds, and he could be seen with a train of students around him. Um, and as time went on, and certainly as a legacy to us on this side of history, the Lyceum actually became almost synonymous with Aristotle's peripatetic school, and less so the temple. Um, he was fond of a unique pedagogical style where he made sure that his students were actively involved in the learning process and had them doing little research projects all the time to bring back into the discussions that they were having at the school. Um, And so here he spent the rest of his days teaching and writing on a variety of topics from as diverse as natural philosophy all the way to music and aesthetics. And his broad interests often have him characterized, and rightly so, as a polymath, a kind of Renaissance man. But the Lyceum, of course, exists to us as a conduit to the older West, the ancient West, even in some things today. And I already mentioned the American Lyceum movement, but you could also include amongst the legacies that still survive are the names of kind of second. In some places, Lyceum is still used as a designation for a secondary school or a finishing school or a type of college. So we certainly live with that legacy even today, so that anytime um, you run across the word Lyceum, um, whether it designates a school or a lecture circuit or something like that, um, then its original meaning, its etymology, its idiom goes back to the classical world, and namely Aristotle's school. So, I hope that this sheds some light on the Lyceum and kind of what Athens had to offer in the way of higher education. You had Plato's Academy and Aristotle's Lyceum School. And of course, there were lots of other tutors in Athens who could be procured to teach. But if you're interested in this in the classical world, the Institute of Biblical Anthropology offers a whole certification program in ancient Mediterranean civilization, where you get the Aegean civilizations, the Greeks. Okay, where you'll study about Aristotle and the Lyceum, and of course the Romans. Um, and those programs are on sale this week for $110 a piece. So still a really good price before it jumps back up, and I have to employ a new or will be employing a new interactive platform, which is going to make them cost a little bit more. So now's a good time to actually get them. My books are 10% off this week, and as many of you know, and you've purchased, I have a number of sources on the Greeks and the Romans, which might interest you. So I'll put links in the description to both of those. And in fact, here in a few hours, I'll be talking about sacred space at Paneas or Caesarea Philippi with Phil Baker on his show. So you might want to tune in to that as well. We're going to record today, and I think it'll be up next week. So, um, yeah, not only some good insight on the Lyceum, but some opportunities to study more about the ancient world, the classical world, and get your hand on some good sources and teaching material, learning material. All right, thank you, and I'll see you soon.